to episode 25 of Johanna Banana. This is the Mooch Part 2. Throw me the recap cap. Actually, it's not the cap. We couldn't find the cap, but we all remember these, right? Who remembers these from my Easter episode? These are the only Easter bunny ears that I found on the border at Walgreens. This was all that there was left. But yeah, they're awesome. Yeah. Okay, so since our last episode, the Mooch, it was great. LB loved it, because she was the one that named him the Mooch. So yeah, and today Aiden and I we had to go to the doctor. Aiden got his. I know this is kind of. Aiden's been so healthy that for the first time in his whole life, he got his blood drawn for the first time. Yes. He got his blood drawn for the first time. Yes. And tell the story on that, Aiden.
Well, they had to pretty much stab me 3 times. Because, they got the vein first try, but then they couldn't fill up, because there's 2 vials, and they couldn't fill up the second one.
Yeah.
So then they had this other person come in, and they couldn't find
the vein.
Instead, they just dug into me, and it just hurt a lot.
Yeah.
So the doctor had to actually draw the second vial on my hand.
Yeah. But Aiden couldn't stop talking about, and I thought this was kind of weird because I told him, I said, don't look, because do you like to watch when you're getting your blood drawn? I don't, it makes me nauseous. But Aiden, all he kept saying was, it was so cool. It was so cool to see the blood coming out. I'm like, Aiden, that's so gross.
Well, yeah, I've never seen my blood before.
Well, you've seen your blood before when you cut your finger and
like
stuff.
that, but not that way.
Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, and then, oh my God, and then we finally went back to Costco after we had just joined, like back in March. We finally had some time to go today after the doctor's appointment. Oh my God, I felt like a freaking autistic kid because I don't like shopping. I'm going to tell you another thing about me. I don't like grocery shopping. I get everything delivered because grocery shopping, that kind of shopping, well, that's boring to me. I find that very boring. I did perk up, Aiden, when I saw the cute little gummy bears. Yeah. I perked up then. So yeah, I got some little gummy bear snacks because I have to eat all the time. I just eat little snacks all day at work, and so I got some little gummy bear snacks. That was the only fun part, but the rest of it just sucked. Like, even for a weekday, it was just so crowded. It was so crowded at Costco. God. And you know what's so sad is I have yet to even enjoy the gas. I can't even get gas there. I joined, back in March, I think is when we joined, Aiden, and I can't even get gas because the gas is just such a long line. Yeah. Crazy.
In fact, the roads to the gas was just
crazy too. Yeah, it was crazy. Anyways, let's get to the Moocher Part 2, when things go downhill. Okay, so we're going to share a couple stories about the Mooch. That's what we decided to do, a couple stories that were kind of like the beginning of the end. And then, of course, I will talk about the breakup, the final straw. So my dad had passed away, and two things that happened when my dad passed away that I had never experienced in my whole life, probably because I had never experienced grief like this in my whole life. One of the things that was really weird that happened to me, and this was going on around this time period, and it was so weird. I'm going to say something that I have not said before, and I don't know if I think you know about this, Aiden, but I felt, okay. It was really hard for me to be around my aunt after my dad died. It's so weird because when my dad was sick, when he was going downhill, all I wanted to do was be with my aunt. Like when my aunt wouldn't let me go see him, remember I was pissed at her because I wanted to be with her and I wanted to be with him. But then after, I didn't realize that being around her would make me miss him more because it was always the two of them. My aunt never married. She never had any children. I was the it kid. Aiden is now the it kid. So, and like on my Mother's Day special, I said she's my another surrogate mother. And so it it was just weird that it felt uncomfortable to be around her. So that was the weird thing that was happening, and that made me feel guilty because it's like we should come together. And it was so funny because my dad always says that people that lose children, married couples or whatever, lose children, they never stay together. And I always thought, oh God, Dad, don't you think they'd want to be together, pull together? Well, I kind of got that now. I mean, certainly this is not like losing a child, but I kind of get that. Being around the person that, was the closest to that person. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, so that was happening, and that caused some more depression because you're like, what the freak is wrong with you? Like, why can't I be around my aunt for the first time without missing so I didn't want to be around my aunt. So I was really depressed. And another thing that happened to me was, and this was so weird because only children have this thing where we need, I don't know if you're like this, Aiden, I was like this, where we need time to step away and kind of be by ourselves for a little while, do our own thing. Are you like that, Aiden?
Sometimes.
I'm like that. Oh, I was like that. So for the first time, I was one of these people, and I used to always think, God, this is so weird when some of these women are like, oh, my husband's out of town. So-and-so's not going to be home. What am I going to do with myself? I used to be like, oh, come on, enjoy it. It's great. Yeah, I was one of those people that couldn't be alone. Aiden had to lay down with me until I passed out to go to sleep. So I clung to this guy, which is why I think he was able to weasel his way in, because he had all the time in the world. He was always over here. So he was always over here, and it was great because at the time I really needed him. I couldn't be alone. But here's the thing. This is how this horrible situation, I think, started, is because I couldn't be alone. And so he was practically living here.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that I didn't know. At first it's like they're over and you pay for dinner once at Postmates. You're like, whatever, I pay for dinner once. But then it just kind of kept happening. I kept paying for dinner, and I wouldn't even invite him over. Sometimes he would just show up. Remember, Aiden would just show up. And Aiden had a hard time with that because...
Yeah, he would literally announce that he was coming over here.
And just announce and then just show up. And it got to the point where he would just grab my phone and just order whatever food. He just got very comfortable. And it was my fault because I allowed it to happen, but I didn't know how to stand up for myself and say, hey, and one of my girlfriends at the time, she even texted him and said, hey, you need to stop mooching off her. And he didn't do anything about it. He just went ahead, and we talked about it briefly, and he says, I'll try to pay. I think he paid for once. He was like the alcoholic. I'm going to quit drinking, and he stops for a day, and then he starts again. That's what happened. So it was just like, that was bad dynamics, and I didn't know how to address it. So that was what was happening. So we're going to tell a couple stories. So you kind of to lay down the foundation.
Yeah.
Right? So what story should we tell first? We have the pill story, the counterattack. We have the Olympics. The Olympics was going on at the time, Summer Olympics. And then we got the breakup. We're going to tell 3 of these stories. So which is the first one?
Did they tell him the story where he gave money to like some random friend all the way out in Singapore?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember that, but yeah, I remember. Yeah, he did tell us that he gave some money to some friend out in Singapore.
Yeah.
And we were paying for him this whole time. Yeah, what the freak, right? Anyways, okay, so let's start with, which story should we start with first? Counterattack, Olympics, or breakup? Well, we should probably do the breakup later. Okay, we'll do the counterattack. Okay, so Aiden and I had a little COVID scare. Who hasn't had COVID or a COVID scare? This is also, but part of it I think was that I was grieving. So I had a sinus infection, cold, but I thought it was COVID at the time. I didn't know because everything is the same. All I know is I had a fever, runny nose, congested, super cranky, and I wasn't able to work. We didn't know if it was COVID, and it was horrible. Oh, I hate not working. And so, anyhow, he wanted to get me some pills. It was called Counterattack, and they were expensive. It was another, yeah, he was always trying to, you need to buy this and you should buy that and you should buy this. And so he says, you need these counterattack pills. This will get you feeling great, back to normal. Okay. And they were like, I don't know what they were. They were like $80 or whatever.
They were a lot.
They were a lot for these pills. And he ordered them on Amazon. Now, he had a baby. I'm not going to get into that whole drama thing. That was another story, but let's not even go there. He had a baby, okay? And so he had his daughter. I think like they had a schedule. He had her like 3 nights a week. She wasn't even a year old. I think maybe she was a year. She was maybe a little over a year. She was a baby. I never met her. I wasn't in a good spot to meet her at the time. He tried to introduce me. I'm like, no. I was like one of my guys that I dated. But it's because I was so screwed up over my dad, my aunt, depression. This is all just right when I lost my dad. So I was like, and I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. I don't do little kids. I'm sorry. I'm not like, oh, the way people are with little kids when they see a baby. Oh my God, a baby, I got to hold it. That's how I am with dogs. I'm not that way with kids. Okay, I'm sorry. I know it sounds really weird and you feel like a horrible person when you're like, I don't like little kids, but I just don't. Maybe because I'm still a little girl. I don't know, but yuck. So I didn't want to deal with his daughter, but he had his daughter. So it was one of the nights that he wasn't going to stay with me. I wasn't expecting to see him. I was battling this sinus infection, really cranky. I'm a drama queen anyways, even when I'm healthy, so imagine me sick. And so anyhow, I decided to take a shower because, you can't breathe. You're just so sick of not being able to breathe. And so you're like, taking a shower is the best thing, right? Wasn't expecting him. Didn't even remember when, because he was always on my phone. Didn't even remember when he had ordered this counterattack. Wasn't expecting nothing, right? And so I'm taking a shower, trying to breathe. And all of a sudden, he just comes barreling in. You remember Aiden, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just kind of showed up and I was like, oh.
And he's looking. Where is the counterattack? Where is the counterattack? And I'm in the shower, steaming hot shower, trying to breathe. And he comes in, where is the counterattack? Where is the counter? And I'm like, I don't know. Check my phone. Who the freak knows? When you're in this sick, feverish state, you don't know what time it is, what day it is. You're just freaking happy that you're actually like standing up and taking a damn shower, And so anyways, he's looking. And he looks it up and he's like, oh, it's not going to come until tomorrow. I have to go get my daughter. Really, dude. So he left, and it got me thinking. I got out of that shower, and I thought, that asshole, he just wanted the counterattack. He doesn't want to see me. He had to go brush and pick up his daughter, but he wanted that counterattack. So you know what I did? Because I was starting to already feel better, and I kind of felt like, no, I don't need this counterattack. I don't need this. You know what I did? I canceled it. Yes, because I wanted to see what he was going to say when I canceled it. Yeah, I canceled it. And and the next day he showed up, spent the night, and asked for it. And I was like, no, I don't need it. So I just canceled it. All right. So that's the counterattack story. So again, I don't know. What do you think? I think he was using me for counterattack because that definitely sounded like that's all he wanted when he came. He wasn't supposed to see me. He was on his way to pick up his daughter. He comes barreling in looking for the counterattack. When I told him I had canceled it, I even told him that I kind of felt like he wanted it. He was like, no, I got it for you. Really, for me. And apparently why he came barreling in is to make sure he would take care of me and make sure I would take the counterattack. Whatever, buddy. You're going to slip yourself 5 pills out of there too and go pick up your daughter. Anyways, counterattack story. Okay. Another story that happened was the Olympics. And this is during the time period of where I was really grieving for my dad, and I barely remember it. But the Olympics was going on, and we decided to get this pack because I don't have cable. Okay, I do Prime and Hulu and stuff. And I don't even have the antenna either. Yes, okay. So I wasn't getting the Olympics, and we decided to buy the Olympics on Hulu. the Hulu package. I don't know what it was. I think it was like $100 or something.
Yeah.
And this is something that in making the Mooch Part 1 that Aiden didn't know about. He never knew this. He thought he had paid me back. So he convinced me, like, let's get this Hulu package, because he was always over here hanging out with me. Oh yeah, he couldn't wait till my dad's TV came up here, boy. Whew. Anyways, remember he kept warning, like, when's the TV coming? When's the TV coming? My dad had a big 60-inch TV, and I had a little 32-inch TV, because I'm not all about TV. So I was kind of like, I didn't really care, but he couldn't wait for the big TV come. We got the Olympics. He said he was going to pay half. I should have made him pay half. He never paid half. Just like all the salmon dinners I bought him because he was, a pescatarian. He never paid me back for that. Do you remember at Applebee's, Aiden? He's like, I'll pay you back. No, he never did. So Aiden just found out that he never paid me back for the Olympic thing. That was something that came out. But here's the thing that was really bad, and I feel really bad about this because I was in such a grief state. So when we were watching the Olympics, and he was over, I think this was a marathon time. I think he was over here for like 3 days straight.
Oh. God,
and
yes.
Aiden couldn't take it anymore. And I was in such a state that I didn't even know. Everything was such a blur. And so I came in. I think I heard you crying, Aiden, and I went into your room, and you were crying on the floor, and he missed me. And I felt really bad about that. So I actually had to ask him to leave so that Aiden and I could have some time alone. Yeah. So he really was a mooch, and that was my fault too, because I let him. I was very, very vulnerable at that time. I barely remember the relationship other than, my friend at the time, people were like, you need to break up with him. You need to do something. And I didn't know what to do. I think I was afraid to go to my dad's funeral without him by myself, and so that was part of it. So that's just how I let this whole thing just get out of control, and I feel really bad about that. I'm so sorry, Aiden. Bad times. Okay, so that was the Olympic story. We did the counterattack. Okay, let's get to the ultimate, the breakup. Okay, so it was the breakup story. Now, he had offered to put a screen door on, a nice big metal screen door, but of course he wasn't a handyman at all. And so I had to help him. Of course, I had to pay for it. And at first I thought, okay, this is good. After all the food, all the stuff I bought him, he's going to put a screen door up for me. Yes. Okay. Give and take is happening right now. Awesome. But it was a disaster because he did it really poorly. We fought the whole time. It was a mess. And so here's the next morning. And I don't know where you were, Aiden. You were not here. You must have been with your father. I don't ever remember you being here at the time when we finally ended it. But I don't know. Yeah, you weren't here. You weren't here. It was in the morning. And I just wanted to have some breakfast. And so, as we all know, Johanna Banana, the little girl, I don't just have pancakes. Boring. When I get pancakes, I want the fruit. I want the whipped cream. I want any pretty sprinkles. I'm a little girl, so I want it to look all cute. And anyway, so here I was. Okay, we're gonna have breakfast. All right, having breakfast. He made me buy these like TV trays, right? We still use them to the day. Aiden makes his model airplanes on these TV trays now. Anyway, so we had these TV trays because he loved eating in my bed and stuff. And so I was eating in my bed. I was getting ready. You know how you get your breakfast all ready, and you're ready to eat, right? And this is kind of why Aiden, I always get really excited when the guy's like, I'm just, most women are like, ugh. But I kind of get excited when they say, hey, I'm just, coming out of a 10-year, 15-year marriage. Because I'm like, yes, you're housebroken. And this is what I mean, Aiden, about being housebroken. Okay, men that have been married would never say this. Okay? They know better. All right? So I'm eating my breakfast. And I got my whipped cream, and I got my I think it was the double berry, blueberries, strawberries. Anyhow, I'm ready to pig out. About to take the first bite. I'm like, you can't wait for that first bite. Yeah. Oh my! And what does he say as I'm about ready to take the first bite? Oh my! Rich food I see. Rich food you're eating. Don't get too fat. Okay, what the fuck? Okay, what the fuck? Okay, I'm sorry. But what do you say? How do you say that to somebody? Like, that's so fucked up. Like, that's so messed up. And I got pissed. I'm like, fuck you. Okay? I am in my bed eating my breakfast that I paid for in my home that you're a guest in, and you have the nerve to say that I'm going to be, don't get too fat? Too fat. Yes, too fat. So, that ruined breakfast for me. It ruined breakfast. And I was just, I couldn't eat breakfast. I got into a hysterical mess. And of course, guys that are not housebroken, ooh, she's crying, I don't want to deal with this, it's uncomfortable. He didn't want to deal with it. And so he just decided to leave, because that's how guys are, like, and this is a pattern in all my relationship, and this is why my dad was always a constant in my relationship, is because I'm emotional and I would cry and they wouldn't know how to handle me. They're like, like your father would say, talk to your dad. I can't deal with it. Yeah. Your father would say that to me, talk to your dad. And so this is what would happen. But I didn't have my dad, didn't have you. And so he was about to leave. And of course, that pushed all my lovely abandonment adoption issues. And so I broke down. I was crying. I was begging. I was so pathetic. God, so pathetic. But I have to talk it out, every pathetic thing I did with my low self-esteem. I was crying. I was begging for him not to leave me. I was begging for him to give me a hug. He didn't want to do it. He just left. Yes. Yes. And I was devastated. But then the devastation turned to anger, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was done with him at that point. So after he left and I pulled myself together and became, because somewhere down in there is the strong person. I don't know why the insecure, I don't know if everybody's like this, but I don't know why in the beginning, like in the relationships, I don't want to rock the boat. I try to be perfect. I try to be nice. I try to be, I don't know why I'm like that. Like the real person, the strong person doesn't come out till later. At first I'm the weak person that's like, oh, don't leave me. But then later I get pissed and I'm like, screw you, get out of my life. I don't know why, but that's a pattern that I just discovered that I do. So after I had my little insecure weak moment, begging for him to stay, crying, begging her for a hug, I got strong and I broke up with him. I called him and I'm like, this isn't working. I'm done. You can come get your stuff, that sort of thing. And then he had the nerve. Now, I told you in the beginning, in part one, that the thing that attracted us the most is we would send each other those cute little inspirational quotes all the time, like I do with my shows. Well, we sent each other quotes back and forth, 2 quotes back and forth as we broke up. He sent me a quote, and I tried to find it. If anybody has this meme quote, please let me know, because I tried to find it. He sent me some quote. When after I called him and we broke up and I hung up the phone, he's texted me a quote saying, proof you didn't want the relationship to work. Really? I didn't want the relationship to work. He sent it to me after he picked up all the stuff that I bought him. Yeah. This was the ironic thing. Because when I broke up with him, remember, I didn't want to be alone, and I made it very nice and comfortable for him. So I bought him I bought him boxer shorts. He had a whole section here, boxer shorts. I bought him deodorant, his undershirts. Aiden hated the fact he used to walk around in his boxers, but I paid for them. And so I bought all that socks, all this stuff, to toothbrush, toothpaste, all this stuff. He's picking up all this stuff that I bought him. And then he has the nerve to send me a quote to say, proof I didn't want the relationship to work. Really? So I sent him a quote, and let's hope that Aiden's editing is going, Aiden, get ready, because this is where I want you to put the editing. I'm going to put my hand up here, and put my hand like this. So when he sent me the quote, like, proof I didn't want the relationship to work, I'm like, no, buddy. And I sent him this quote. Hopefully you can put it there on my hand.
I can try.
Okay, Aiden's going to try to send that quote. Yeah. And that was it. I was done. I wasn't buying any more salmon dinners, and he wasn't hanging out over here. And and he couldn't buy stuff on Amazon anymore on my account. And God, saying all this, I can't believe I allowed that to happen. So I will never allow that to happen again in a relationship. I'm going to have to definitely, I think, you have to set boundaries, and you have to set kind of expectations, I think. And so in my next relationship, I'm going to try to set some boundaries. I'm going to try to set some expectations. I won't be ever getting into a relationship ever again when I'm grieving for somebody. I've learned that too. And yeah, so that is the story of the Mooch.
I mean, even like months later, we would have to turn off stuff that he enabled on like accounts and stuff.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, we had to change all our passwords, everything. Yeah, he really did just take over our lives, and I allowed him to, because I was so screwed up. You know, I was really screwed up. So note to self, note to anyone: if you are grieving and you're going through a major loss or transitional period, do not get into a relationship. Okay, don't, because you know you're not your best self. And I'm going to wait until I'm my best self to start out dating again. Yeah. All right. So tonight's tale, I always wanted to say that even though it's not nighttime. I just like that. Tonight's tale. Okay. So this story is about one of my dad's favorite parishioners. And I can say that now. In the church, we could not, growing up in the church, you could not play favorites. Everybody had to be included. I had to invite everybody to my birthday parties. I had over 200 people to my first wedding, because you can never play favorites and you have to include everybody. But since my dad has passed away, and I do believe that this parishioner is going to a different church now, it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to say this. This was one of my dad's favorite parishioners, and when my dad passed away, he always spoke highly of her and loved her kids. When my dad passed away, she had written something really nice on my Facebook page. So if you are friends with me on Facebook, please check it out. It's on my Facebook page. She wrote saying that she was ready to say goodbye to her beloved priest, and it was a great goodbye to my dad. It was wonderful. But the thing that I took out of it the most was the fact that, and I never knew this. We all know my dad does calligraphy. I talked about that in my Father's Day special. Apparently, he had noticed the first time he had met her that she did calligraphy as well, and he had paid for her and I didn't know this because I was just a kid, and she just had little kids at the time too. We were all young. Paid for her to take some calligraphy classes, and I never knew that. So my dad never shared that with me. He shared a lot of stories about her and her children and how much he loved her, but he never shared that story with me. I don't know, he probably didn't think it was significant, but it meant a lot to her, and she said that in on my Facebook page when she was saying goodbye to my dad. So let's get to the story about her and how she met her love, her great love. So we're going to tell that story. She was married for 17 years. She has 2 beautiful children. She has 2 beautiful grandchildren. I love her. She's very warm and bubbly, and I could you just want to bake cookies with her. I refer to her as Deadhead Tina. She loves the Grateful Dead. She wears tie-dye t-shirts fabulously. She's one of these people that you feel like you've known her forever, and she makes you feel comfortable and loved, and she's just great people. And I think my dad just knew that about her, and I think that's why she was one of my dad's favorites. So she was coming out of a 17-year marriage. Yeah, 17 years. And he had struggled with alcoholism. He still struggles with alcoholism to this day, which is a very sad, sad thing. Alcoholism is just so sad. And so she had joined a friends group, which I thought was really, really good. She had joined this friends group. And one of her friends, I think this was a cousin of one of her friends. She had a good friend, and this was a cousin of one of her friends. And so they met, and the thing that I really liked about that she said, the first thing that she noticed about him, and I often say this because I think this was a downfall in my first marriage, was the fact that he was fun. Because after you've been in a struggling marriage, dealing with alcoholism, and all of that, it's nice to kind of just have fun. So I think the first thing she noticed is how much fun he was. Another thing that she noticed in the beginning was how much she thought about him. And I think, and it gave her a good feeling, after you've been struggling and trying to make things work, and after you end up a marriage, you feel like such a failure. But it was nice that she finally had some fun with him. So he taught her some things. They played cribbage together, and and we had to look this up. Ada and I didn't know what this was. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. It's called bocce. We didn't know what this was. I'm like, Ada, what's this? What's this bocce?
It's either
What is this?
bocce or bocce.
It's either bocce or bocce. I don't know how. Anyways, we looked it up. It looks kind of like, it reminds me of croquet balls.
Yeah, you kind of have to like throw a ball at other balls.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Different colored balls. I don't know how it works. But yeah, they played games and stuff together. Let me tell you about their first date. It was around Christmas time. Okay, here's where it got serious with them, Aiden. He invited them. This is big, right? This is big. He invited her to the Christmas party, the company Christmas party. That's pretty big. And so, yeah. And so they went to a Christmas party, and then afterwards they drove around and looked at the Christmas lights. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a cute first date. I love that. That's an adorable first date. And here's a nice thing too. Her kids are awesome. They were supportive in the whole thing. Like her daughter at the time, she was 16. You know what she told them? When he showed up and they were going on the first day, she said, "Have a good time." Isn't that nice? Yeah, so there wasn't the drama like I get with some of the kids and stuff like that. There wasn't that. That was awesome. So basically they just bonded. They just built a really good friendship. And I think it helped that they were part of the friends group. I think it helped that this was a cousin of one of her good friends. That helped too. And from friendship to love in 5 months. And today their love is as stronger than ever, and is growing. And so it's kind of a nice story. She was in an unhappy marriage for a long time. And now she's happier than ever. And I think, the key to most of these relationships and these stories is the friendship based. So friendship is the key, I think. And that's what I think I want. Maybe because, Aiden, I do jump off right into the deep end every time. Maybe I should just start out as friends. Try to do that friend thing first. Maybe that's what I need to do, Aiden. Because this is the running theme in every one of my hope stories is the fact that they like the person and they have fun with that person. They play games with the people, and yeah. So I need to get a friend first, I think.
Yeah, the thing is, with friends, if you don't work together, it's not as diabolical.
Yeah, right. Although they say you can ruin the friendship. Yeah, but I think it's better. You want to build a good foundation, I think. And they really did. They built a really good foundation, and they're still going strong. And even though this is what I love about her, is the fact that, her first husband, the father of her children, she's still in love with him. Even though he struggles with alcoholism, even though he did come out and say, that he's gay, and she loves his partner too. They're all close. She still loves him. So here's another thing that I've learned about love too. You don't stop loving that person sometimes. The love for that person just kind of changes. And that's what she said. She's not in love with the father of her children, the one that she was married to for 17 years. It's a different love now for him, and I just love her for still loving him, and still supporting him. And I'm just so happy that she found love again. I think that's nice that she found love again, Ada. So thank you so much for sharing that story. And it's awesome that you guys are going strong since 2017. That's great. I wish you guys all the best, and thank you for sharing that story.
Yes.
Thank you for watching another episode of Johanna Banana. I am wearing this. Oh, first, Mango, make your cameo appearance. Here's Miss Mango. I found out that she's a female. She's my only female lizard that I have. Blizzard and Ruby are both male, and we're going to be doing a pet episode next week, okay? Because KP had a bobcat scare. Yeah, and she shared that story. So we're going to put that on our next pet episode of her bobcat scare. Now, you're saying, what the freak? Why is she wearing this wig with these glasses with the chicks? Okay, look at this. This is so cool. Okay, ready? Happy birthday, Sydney. I know it's late. Oh my God, I feel so awful. Happy birthday, girl. Look at this. Okay. Happy birthday, girl. Love you. I am so sorry. Her birthday, this is one of my good friends, and I feel awful about this. Her birthday was June 2nd, Aiden. She's a Gemini just like me. And a few years ago, we all know our infamous birthday, that when she turned 21, I turned 41. We went to the casino. Yeah. And I feel so bad because I keep shooting these episodes and I keep forgetting to do a birthday shout out to you, girl. And I'm so sorry because we're unscripted. And so, yes, anyways, happy birthday, girl. Love you. She's awesome. She's half my age, but I swear to God, she has more maturity than I do half the freaking time. And she, after dating all these guys and having dating guys that have daughters the same age as her and realizing, God, these daughters are so screwed up. Yeah, she has her shit together. She's awesome. Very mature for her age. Love her. Happy birthday. Found out her favorite color is pink, so that's why I'm rocking this pink wig. Happy birthday, girl, and thank you for watching Johanna Banana.